Thank you very much, Vladimir.
Next time in Moscow.
Oh, that's an interesting one. I don't know. I'll get a little heat on that one, but I could see it possibly happening.
I'm going to say something that's going to sound insane, but I need you all to stay with me. And for guidelines purposes, this is all just fiction. I'm making this all up for a novel I'm writing, but it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone that Donnie is rolling over to Pootie right now. Publicly, they go way back. Those were clearly two old friends meeting on the stage there. My cousin, who is a lawyer who has been tracking this, has a running theory that the reason they won't release the FILES situation isn't because of the kids thing. We've all known for a long time Donnie's involved with all of that, and it hasn't been a deterrent. But because if anyone was going to have a bunch of records on this relationship controlling him, it was going to be Jeffy. Before I walk you through all the evidence in my completely fiction book where these people are currently controlling the government with their money, make sure you like, rage comment your favorite book, repost, and follow along for more. Yes, back in 2016 at his first run at this relationship was obvious to the point where we were literally memeing these two on a horse. If you look into records, their relationship goes all the way back to the 70s and 80s when they were zeroing in looking for a very wealthy businessman to do certain things for them. There's even a whole situation back in like the 80s where the Czech secret police were tracking Ivana and her family, and they had files saying that Donnie was being pressured to run way back then by these guys. That's not enough to convince you. On top of that, remember we had this whole situation. They literally openly admitted that they interfered here, but they said on record they're going to continue to do so. His first run seemed like it could have been heavily motivated and funded by these people right here, but then his second run, he got weirdly Christian nationalist with it, right? So did he switch funding? Well, it's funny that you should keep bringing up Watergate in relation to him. If you look into Nixon, he also had a lot of possible questionable ties with these people. More specifically, Charles W. Colson, who was the mastermind behind a lot of Watergate and the first person to go down for it, the right-hand man of Nixon, if you will. Took a lot of strange trips to Russia. He does have a lot of random indirect connections where he's praising them, trying to make deals with them, and he somehow went on to become a huge evangelical leader who remained active in politics. Possibly still with these ties, and you're like, okay, how does that relate to Donnie? Well, James Dobson was one of his besties that he often worked with. Now, their relationship has been weirdly wiped from the internet, but you'll often see their names right next to each other in what headlines you can find. Who is James Dobson, you ask, who spends a lot of time with Chuck Colson, who has potentially all of these ties to the you-know-what? He has another huge religious political power. People credit him for a lot of the engineering behind Donnie and the overturning of Roe. His institute is one of the main people on the advisory board for Project 2025. You may have heard of that. That potentially, allegedly explains how the circle for this man could just continually keep tying back to this man behind the scenes. You might say, well, that explains why the executive branch just keeps rolling over time and time again, but why is the judicial branch following them? Well, that brings up the great question of Leonard Leo, the Federalist Society and their plan to infiltrate this over the years. What seems like they're never-ending, untraceable networks of dark money. Where's the money coming from? Gee, I don't know, but I have a few guesses, and we don't have the time to unpack all that today, but if you're interested, I have theories about that as well, for my fake fictional novel series.